Hello, everybody, and welcome to another weekly installment of Hawkeye's Weekly Sports Review. You all know me alongside Dan the Man. I'm not biased. I hope he's not. Unfortunately, we're down three guys today.
Yeah.
Usually we're only down two.
It's a two-man show.
And now there were two. We got a lot of topics this week. We got 9 topics. I think that's more than we've ever had, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of baseball topics. Kyle Loesch, opening day starters, division predictions, and we got some hockey and football in there as well. And one thing in basketball, I think everybody knows where that would be going, would be the Heat's winning streak coming to an end at 27 finally. What do you say we start with?
I say we start with opening day starters.
All right. Most important to us here at Hawkeye. Happy weekend. Well, for us, casual Thursday.
Easter
Not dressed
on
up.
Sunday.
Dapper today. Yeah. Opening day starters. We heard earlier this week, or was it late last week, that John Lester is scheduled to start for the Red Sox, and I believe he's earned that.
Yeah, I think he's earned that. Even though we spent a lot of money on Dempster this offseason, I think Lester is a true number one starter. I think Dempster is more of a middle of the rotation, maybe number 2 guy. And Lester has been, end of last season he was really good. This spring he's been doing really good. He got a perfect game through 6 innings and then got taken out because it's only spring. And I think he really earned it. He had a bad year last year. That's not a secret, but he is a true number 1 starter, and he will be an ace.
Yeah, he said it in a lot of interviews this year. He's not going to blame the pitching staff. He's not going to blame the defense for his mishaps. He has openly said he is completely to blame for his performance, and I believe that is true sportsmanship on his part, and I think he's going to have a great year this season. But if you had to pick what order the rotation would be this season, who do you think would be where?
I think it would be Lester, Dempster, Buckholz, Dubront, and then Lackey.
Lackey fifth, really?
Yeah.
You know, I think, and don't get me wrong here, everybody, you too. Dubront's good.
Dubront is good.
I give him credit where credit is due all day long.
He was our best starter last year for most of the season.
But keep in mind now, Lackey has had a fairly impressive spring training.
He lost a lot of pounds too.
He lost a lot of weight.
He has a good attitude going into this year.
Yeah, he's no more beer and fried chicken in the clubhouse. And that cancer, John Lester. I'm so sorry, John. Josh Beckett.
Yeah.
Is gone. Thank you, front office. And thank you, LA, for being our dumping ground. We salute you. What's next? Kyle Loesch to the Brewers for 3 years and $33 million. How do you feel about that?
I think that's honestly one of the best moves of this offseason. It kind of detracts from it a little bit, the fact that he won't even really get a spring. He's just been throwing simulated games, which is nothing compared to facing actual people. And he will have a bad start of the season, no doubt. But he will turn it on and be Kyle Loesch of last year and 2011. And I think this move will catapult the Brewers into the postseason. If Braun doesn't get busted for pens.
I knew that you would say that. And I don't mean to say I knew that you would say that in a bad way. I'm actually glad that he brought that up because I feel like in the 4 major professional sports that we have here in the U.S. with basketball, hockey, football, and baseball, I feel like recently in the last maybe 5 years or so, I feel like baseball has been the most lenient when it comes to PED testing.
Well, they're really trying to change that, but they've they've had some really scientific breakthroughs in the drug world where like they can have steroids that become untraceable like really shortly after. So a lot of people are getting away with that. They're really trying to break down. Bud Selig is really pursuing the people that were on that list of the biogenesis facility in Miami, the one that was caught for selling drugs to the multiple sports athletes. Braun was on that list, and he's their main target for who they want to give a suspension to. And they're thinking of making the suspension worse for people that get caught.
Now, was Aroyd on that list, or
He was, yes.
all right, cool.
And the Yankees are really hoping that he gets busted because they really can't release him now. But if he gets busted, they have the option to release him, which they really want to dump his contract into free agency.
And I really don't blame the Yankees for doing that. And not only do I say this because I'm sitting next to somebody wearing a Red Sox t-shirt.
Not biased, by the way. These are just this is just the only sports jersey I have other than a Trout jersey.
It's Casual Thursday. Yeah, not only do I want to see the Yankees dump Aroyd's contract into free agency because of the fact that I'm a Red Sox fan.
Highest paid bench player in history.
Yeah, highest paid bench player in history. And he's an absolute dirtbag. He really is. He's a man hoochie. And everybody thinks, he's got this great chemistry with Derek Jeter. I'm not calling you guys dumb, but I will bet anything that half of you didn't know how much A-Rod used to trash talk Jeter before he went to New York.
Yeah, and it definitely didn't help that he got kicked from the shortstop position because of Jeter.
Jeter's a better shortstop. All day.
He is a better shortstop, and A-Rod's bitter about that.
He's older, and he's a better sport about it. He's not a poor sport like A-Rod. Like, Jeter knows how to lose. I'm not saying that Jeter ever loses, because, I mean, come on. He's with the Yankees. They almost never lose.
People hate the Yankees, but Derek Jeter is a class act.
He really is.
Nobody can dispute that.
Jeter is one of the few Yankees that I can actually say I shouldn't say a bit. I do have truly genuine respect for him, along with Mariano Rivera. If I had to pick two Yankee players that I actually would be able to take a liking to or respect, it would be Jeter and Rivera.
Yeah, I would definitely shake their hand if I had the opportunity.
But A-Rod, no, he's
flirting with fans in a postseason game.
You don't do that. What are the Steinbrenners doing?
I don't know, man.
All right, next topic. We're gonna switch to hockey here for a moment. Jerome McGinley has been traded. Well, not traded. He was a free agent. He has signed with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Dan Blisma, you win. Can we give him the Stanley Cup now, please?
Maybe.
The Pittsburgh Penguins are on a 13-game win streak. Quite impressive. 4 games away from tying their franchise record of 17. Jerome McGinley, he picked 4 teams that he would have signed with. Boston was on that list. However, Calgary wanted 2 prospects out of giving a team to Jerome McGinley. And there were 2 prospects that Boston had that he was eyeing. One of them in particular was the Pawtucket goalie, Malcolm Subban, which it really does fascinate me in a sense as to why he wouldn't give them Subban. Now bear with me here for a second. Malcolm Subban is the younger brother of Montreal Canadiens star defenseman PK Subban. What Habs player does Marchand absolutely despise? PK Subban. Now, granted, Chiarelli knows he's got a hell of a prospect in Malcolm Subban. Answer me this with a comment on the video on YouTube, a video response, or just a post on the page. Would you, and why would you, keep Malcolm Subban, little brother of PK Subban, on the same team as Brad Marchand, who absolutely despises PK Subban? The entire league knows Brad Marchand as a little ball of hate. And I'm a Bruins fan through and through, but I'm really not going to argue that.
Yeah, I kind of get bad vibes from him.
I love him.
I love him as a player, but I kind of get
He's one of the hardest workers in the NHL.
Yeah.
But he's got that. He's a little man with a short fuse, especially for PK Subban. Now, I don't know how well that would go down in the locker room, but when you have the chance to get a guy like Jerome McGinley, and you have two prospects that Calgary is looking at, but they really only want one, maybe they want two, but they explicitly went out and said, you have two prospects that we'd like, but we'd only take one. Why would you not give up that prospect, knowing that you have great goaltending depth in Anton Khudobin and Tuukka Rask, knowing that you could give up this prospect, who you know is good in Providence, but he's like any other prospect. He could be a bust when he gets to the big leagues. Yeah. Why would you not give up Malcolm Subban, for a guy like Jerome McGinley, when you know can help you out defensively? He can help you out 5-on-5, 4-on-4, shorthanded on the power play, which is absolutely disgusting for us as Boston fans. And he's really not afraid to drop the gloves in any situation. And I completely understand now why the Pens snatched him up as quick as they did, because their enforcer and star defenseman Chris Letang is out with a broken toe, and Geno Malkin's out. But the fact that Pittsburgh is doing as well as they are without Chris Letang, and Geno Malkin said something to me. They're on a 13-win streak now without these guys, and now they've brought in Jerome McGinley.
Yeah, they just made their team so much better.
That's asking to extend that win streak by at least 5 games.
Yeah.
So, no doubt in my mind that Pittsburgh is a playoff team. They are a force to be reckoned with, and they are the team to beat in the Eastern Conference.
They could tangle with Boston and the Blackhawks. I could easily see them beating those teams, which is not something you should take lightly.
It isn't, however, after Chicago lost their first regulation game of the season, they did kind of, I'm not going to say absolutely plummet, but their game did decline a little bit, with a 6-2 loss to a team that has one really great player in Gabriel Landeskog, and they lost to a talent-laden, yet no formula, no strategy, pull a flying V and still lose Edmonton Oilers team. As Jack Edwards said recently on an episode of The Instigators alongside Billy Jaffe and Andy Brickley, pure talent trumps a rise to mediocrity. Mediocrity.
I think it's mediocrity.
I thought it was safe.
Mediocrity.
This isn't an English class video.
I don't know. This isn't an English class. We're from Massachusetts, so cut us a break, kid.
Boston.
Next on the list, NHL teams that should clean house at the trade deadline: the Calgary Flames, San Jose, the Flyers, the Stars, and the Coyotes. Now, I find this kind of funny how the Coyotes are on this list because they're actually toying with the idea of relocating. Where they might move to is unknown to us at this time. However, when we do find out, we will keep you posted on that. Calgary Flames, I totally agree with. Mika Kiprasov is getting older by the second, and his chances of performing as well as he did a few seasons ago in the playoffs are completely out of the question. They just let go of their star player and captain in Jerome Iginla. Where's the talent on that team? Tell me. Could you name me any other really big name guys besides those two? And one of them is gone now. The other one was injured for a few weeks this season and is getting up there in age, and his performance is definitely going to start to decline, if it hasn't already.
I honestly can't name anymore.
Neither can I. And I'm a diehard hockey fan. I don't know what I'd do without it, but I can. So, Calgary, I totally agree with that. They do need to clean house at the trade deadline. San Jose. Now, they're a team that I did say very often when we would make our picks, our weekly hockey picks, that they were a team that was up in the air. They went undefeated in January, and they won maybe 1 or 2 games in February. They might have even not won a game in February. I'm not a very disciplined West Coast hockey fan as much as I should be, being the hockey guy for this sports team. San Jose is, I feel like they're going to have a bit of a hot streak. They're coming off of a win against the Anaheim Ducks, which is arguably the best team in the West. I think that the only team right now in the West that could contend with them is the Chicago Blackhawks. And that's saying something, that there's only one team that could contend with Chicago, even though Sharp is out with a back injury. No, is he back? I don't know. We'll keep you posted on that too, if he's not already back. The Philadelphia Flyers. I don't really think that Philly needs to clean house that much at the trade deadline.
They just need to...
Unless that depends on whether or not Peter Laviolette stays head coach. He might be let go. He might be fired from his position as head coach on that team. Why? Because how many times when we would make our weekly picks and Philly was in one of those games, did I say I thought Philly was a dumb hockey team?
Every time.
Yes. And then the one week that I picked them to beat the Pens,
They lose.
yeah, they lose. You can't pick them. But I will tell you, I will pick against them in this weekend's matinee game. They got Boston at 1 o'clock. The last few times I've seen Boston play them in a matinee game, they did not come to play. Especially the last one. They lost 3-0 in Boston. Did Bryzgalov kind of turn on his game after the third goal? Yes. Should you turn on your game after a third goal? No. Because in, not just in your division, but in this Eastern Conference, you shouldn't be giving up 3 goals when you have teams like New Jersey with players like Ilya Kovalchuk, the Bruins with lines like our first line with Horton, Krejci, and Lucic, and our second line with now Danny Paille, Tyler Seguin, and Patrice Bergeron. Marshy got knocked onto the third line last night to try to get all 4 lines scoring again, which I don't know was the right idea, but I see why Claude Julien did it, and I applaud him for that. Anyway, teams like the Rangers that, actually scratch that. Forget I ever said the Rangers. The Rangers aren't even doing that well this season.
Yeah, they're kind of having a bad season compared to what they usually do.
Yeah, especially last season. They were seeded number 1 in the conference. And they lost to number 7 New Jersey in 6 games. 6 games, that's a hell of a series. Especially for a guy like Marty Brodeur. He's 40 and scored a power play goal recently.
Nice.
against Carolina, a team that is now beginning to contend for the playoffs. Anyway, on to our next team, the Dallas Stars. Yes, they do need to clean house at the trade deadline. They recently traded Brendan Morrow. Jaromir Jagr's Jagr's ancient. They have okay goaltending. Ryder's now gone. Speaking of which, great job, Michael Ryder, in scoring 2 goals against your former team. I really wish he didn't leave, but I blame Chiarelli and Jeremy Jacobs, unless I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm blaming the wrong guy here. And he's really a money hog, then, well, shame on me. I believe Dallas is the most penalized team in the NHL.
Not something you want to be.
Yeah, not something you want to be. However, the Bruins and the Canadiens are both in the top 8 penalized teams in the NHL as well. But I do think that has a direct correlation to the Bruins' 92% penalty kill.
Mm.
That's got to be a record. That's got to be a record.
It's funny how like they were like, I forget if they were the worst or one of the worst in scoring on a power play.
The Bruins are the worst on the power play.
But at the same time, they were the best at penalty killing.
I think we're 24th out of 30 teams with 15.1%. That's bad. That is horrible. That's disgusting.
Well, compared to what it was at the beginning of the season, it's better.
You know what I find funny is like our power play gets streaky.
Mm.
Like we'll turn it on for a little bit, like we will score a power play goal in 3 or 4 games. And then we'll go 10, 11, 12 games without scoring one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was at 5% for a while there.
That wouldn't have surprised me if it was. Last team that needs to clean house at the trade deadline is the Phoenix Coyotes. I totally agree with that. Their backup goalie in Dwayne Rolison, old. You really want a young, fresh, second-string goalie like the Caps have with Braden Holtby. Mike Smith, great goalie. Can he handle the workload of a whole season? No. Don't make him do it. They want to relocate too. That's another issue. But first, improve at getting better. As far as I'm concerned, being a better team is better than having a very established fan base.
I do agree with that.
Because just because one city doesn't go to your games doesn't mean NHL Network isn't showing your highlights at some point. Shane Doan is getting old. They made the playoffs last season, made it to the Western Conference Finals, which I was very surprised by. I think all of the West Coast and America was surprised by that. However, I feel as though that was kind of a once in a 15-year thing where they're going to really have to rebuild their team. They got guys like Keith Yandel and Shane Doan that are tremendous players, absolutely great athletes. However, you can't just get it done with all big-name guys. I mean, look at the Bruins. I mean, all of the Bruins players, they're all very well-known. But earlier this season, we had 4-line efficiency. Does Phoenix have that? No. Is the potential there? Yes. Potential's always there. Even in teams, in organizations such as Colorado, the Columbus Blue Jackets, which are actually making a run for the playoffs. I like that. The Columbus Blue Jackets are making a run for the playoffs. They have really good goaltending in Sergei Bobrovsky, who they acquired from the Philadelphia Flyers, I believe, this season, or during the lockout. Anyway, those are the teams that I believe, well, minus Philadelphia, that they go either way. These are the teams that I think should clean up at the trade deadline. The Calgary Flames, old, need to rebuild. The San Jose Sharks, they're on the fence for me. Some of their players are getting old, but they still play a really great, they establish a really great physical game. In the forecheck, they're able to win puck battles at the half boards and in the corners. I think maybe one or two, not so much as big moves, but not small moves, would definitely boost the odds for them for the remainder of this season and possibly their playoff odds if they are seated high enough in the 8 teams that'll make the playoffs in the Western Conference. The Flyers, that I think depends on what happens with Peter Laviolette. If they do make a coaching change, I say play out this season and see how it goes from there. If they don't improve, then it's definitely time to say, you know what, we need to rethink our strategy here. We need to bring in some new guys, maybe some veterans that can pave the way for our younger guys and players like Claude Giroux.
I think they need to. I think they need to learn how to work together better and kind of like iron out all their stupid plays and get, like you said, a veteran in there that could really lead the team and kind of show them kind of like what kind of plays they should be making and not like making stupid passes or stuff like that.
They look for a lot of passing lanes that just
because they have
there.
talent there. They have talent. They just need to get their decision making down, and then I think they're one of the best teams.
I mean, year in and year out, Philly's always a playoff contention. They're always in playoff contention. They're established a very hard-nosed, physical style of play, which I love. I think with a talent-laden team, you need to have a physical game. You can't always try to finesse a puck through two defensemen. You need to establish yourself physically and say, okay, I'm prepared to take a hit, or I'm prepared to give a hit if I need to give one. So that's where I stand on the Flyers. Oh, they need a goaltender. Get Brice Galoff the hell out of there. He's awful. Guy can't even speak English. You kind of need to do that when you play for a team in America. Dallas, like I said, kind of on the fence. Improve goaltending, improve scoring, stop getting penalized so much, and think of a long-term plan where after Jaromir Jagr's gone, a guy that can fill in his position that's half as good as he is. Because being half as good as a guy like Jaromir Jagr would do wonders for you. He's just one of those guys where I feel like once in every 10, 15 seasons you'll see a guy like him come around. He's a freak. And Phoenix and Calgary need to do the most work here. Phoenix, Shane Doan's getting up there in age. Dwayne Rollison's getting old. They need to establish themselves better in the goaltending position. Mike Smith's a great goalie. Like I said, he can't do it all. And they need to bring in a guy who can definitely score 40 goals a season. I'm not saying go out and try to get a guy like Ovechkin or Crosby because they'll just want a monster amount of money, as any 40-goal scorer would. But try to find the right guy at the right price that you know will do wonders for your team.
Find a guy that will fit, not a guy that puts up big numbers.
Exactly. Find a hybrid of those two.
Find an affordable option. Don't just go for the big name guys, because that's kind of not the best idea. Because they'll cost way too much.
Yep.
Get a bunch of guys that will work together.
Exactly.
But are really talented at the same time.
All right, back to baseball. Division predictions. AL East first and foremost.
AL East, it's the most confusing division for me right now.
It's the most confusing, but year in and year out is the best division in baseball, bar none. Bar none.
This year, maybe not, but consistently over the past 10, 20 years, it has been the best.
Easily.
This year, I think the AL West takes best division, even though the Astros are in it now. But AL East is a strong division. I think this year, it'll be the Blue Jays that take it.
For me, it's a dogfight between Toronto and Boston. Toronto's got a great rotation. They got really great bats in guys like Jose Reyes and Jose Bautista, who Dan is so eager to get off of me in our fantasy league.
You won't take anything for him.
I almost took Mike Trout for him, but my run count went down, if one could believe that. Two things went down, and I know that they weren't good things. However, Boston has a really solid-looking rotation going into this season.
They have really.
And they've signed a lot of big-name guys, and Johnny Gomes, Shane Victorino, Mike Napoli. And if I'm not mistaken, we could put Daniel Nava at first base.
Yeah, he was working on first base all spring. He could be our backup first baseman if Napoli goes down with injuries, which he very well could be.
Here's a better idea. If David Ortiz doesn't play, and there's a method to my madness here, or a madness to my method, strike that, reverse that. Put Daniel Nava at first, and if David Ortiz doesn't make the start of the regular season, which we all know he probably won't,
Most likely won't.
put Napoli at DH.
He would be an awesome DH.
He's not great as a catcher.
He's
Great as a first baseman.
He actually is a great catcher, believe it or not.
Well, if you look at his batting numbers when he's playing catcher, for some reason they're lower. I don't know what it is, but for some reason they're lower.
Catchers tend to have lower batting numbers anyway, so because they have to work on, because it's so much stress on their knees, and they have to focus on, making smart decisions with pitchers and working with the pitchers.
That wouldn't be a bad idea though. So, John Farrell, we love you, but please take that into consideration. I'd love to see just one of my ideas get put into action.
So the rest of the division, I think it's going to be Toronto first, Rays second, Red Sox third, Orioles fourth, Yankees last, because the Yankees have just been decimated by injuries.
I'm telling you right now, the Yankees will not be in last. I don't care who's ahead of them, they will not be in last. That is not the Yankee way.
It's not the Yankee way, but I can't see them beating out all of these big name teams when they have all of their star players except for Robinson Cano injured.
Did Baltimore do anything this offseason now?
They did a couple things. They minorly improved their team.
But
that's why I put them at near the bottom of the division, because I don't see them replicating what they did last season, because what they did last season was just out of nowhere, and they did it all by winning those close games, which if no team wins that many close games 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah, that's true. It's a hell of a grind. Who's your pick for the National League?
National League East, I have the Nationals winning. Who do you have?
Nats.
Easy.
Not even a question.
The Braves are going to challenge it, but just like they did last year, but I don't see them beating out the Nats, even though they do have both Uptons. They have one of the best outfields in the entire MLB.
No doubt.
With the Upton brothers and then Jason Hayward. But I can't see the rest of that team beating out the Nats, who are great at every single position, except for maybe catcher.
Yeah.
The Nats have, in my opinion, the best starting rotation in the entire MLB. You got Gio Gonzalez, who almost won Cy Young last year. Steven Strasburg, who would have probably won Cy Young last year if he didn't have a innings cap on him.
Jack, if you're watching this, Gio Gonzalez almost won. But alright, did he beat him?
And then you got Jordan Zimmerman, who on most teams would be the ace. But he's on the Nationals, so he's the third starter.
It's hard to pick an ace on that team.
And then you have Dan Herron, who everybody gave up on him just because he had one bad season last year. He's been phenomenal before that, but that one bad season because of back injury, everybody just thinks he doesn't have it in him. And then they have a lockdown bullpen with Tyler Clippard, Drew Storen. They got Rafael Soriano, who was one of the best closers last year. And he was playing in Yankee Stadium, which is basically a Little League park.
Yeah. How do we feel about the Rangers this year? I will say it right now, and I'm not saying this because the Rangers made us look horrible last year. We made ourselves look bad last year here in Boston. Texas isn't going anywhere. They got rid of Mike Napoli, Ryan Dempster, Josh Hamilton's with the best 1-2 punch in baseball, and Mike Trout and Albert Pujols. Where do they go now? Do they rebuild or?
I think the Rangers, they're definitely going to contend this season, but then I don't see them beating out the A's or the Angels. The thing about the AL West is they have 3 of the best teams in the entire MLB in that division. The A's are one of the best teams. They kept most of their roster, but they made phenomenal changes, like upgrades with Nakajima at short. Awesome Japanese, I think he's Japanese, shortstop. You have Chris Young out there. And they said they were going to rotate the outfielders around because they have 4 phenomenal outfielders. They're going to rotate them around between DH and outfield, but I don't think Coco Crisp and Josh Reddick are going to be DHing that much.
Coco Crisp is not DH material. From what I gathered when he was with Boston, no.
Josh Reddick is the best fielding right fielder right now. Gold Glove last year. He has a cannon for an arm. He makes some amazing plays.
Is he a modern Dewey Evans?
I don't know. He has 30 home runs a season, too. It's just his batting average that makes you concerned. And then they have Brandon Moss at first.
Just look at us here in Boston. We haven't seen a right fielder with a good batting average since Trot Nixon.
Yeah. But then you got...
Steven, I hate to break it to you, your brother sucked.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But
$14 million, and Epstein just had to have him.
Freaking groin injury. Comes back for a day, gets it injured again.
I stubbed my toe. I can't play for a month. All right, NL West. How do you feel about that?
Hold on, I haven't told you who I think will win the AL West yet.
I'll tell you right now, it's a dogfight between those 2 teams out there in Cali.
The Angels, I will say it right now, best 1-3-4 entire MLB. Best 3-4 punch in the entire MLB with Trout, Pujols, and Hamilton. Best center fielder, in my opinion. Second best first baseman. And then you got Josh Hamilton, who, if he plays more than 150 games, will give you tremendous value. He was injured a lot last season and almost took the home runs title. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Angels won the West. I think they're going to win a wild card.
It's tight with Oakland, though.
But Oakland will win the West. I think they will do it again.
Bold prediction, but I like it.
Who do you think won?
I almost want to say the Angels, but you know what they say about Hollywood. It's the land of fallen angels. No. Oakland was a great team. The Angels were a great team.
The Angels missed the postseason by 1 game last year, and then they tremendously improved over the offseason.
I say LA. I say the Angels. I love your prediction with Oakland, and I see exactly where you're coming from. They're a great team. No doubt about it. Great team. I gotta give it to the Angels, though.
I also wouldn't be surprised if the Rangers won the AL West because they may have lost all of their star players. They lost Josh Hamilton,
I'm telling
Michael
you right
Young,
now.
Mike Napoli.
I don't think they can contend with losing guys like that.
They have really solid players all around the field, but I don't see them winning.
They were so vital to the way that Texas played, though. If there was a West Coast offense in baseball, it would have been the Texas Rangers.
They do have the second best third baseman in the entire MLB, in my opinion, though. Adrian Beltre.
I love Adrian Beltre.
I know.
So we take J.D. Drew for $14 million and get rid of. I give up. I don't know if I love that dirty water anymore.
Well, just look at Boston this year. I remember you saying a few weeks ago, not in a video, the Red Sox have lost what they used to stand for back in 2004. They were a fun team.
They're not a fun team anymore.
Actually, I disagree. I think, well, last year you couldn't say they were a fun team, but
this year they're a fun team.
This year, they're a fun team. They got a bunch of guys that have great personalities together.
Joel Hammerhand's really upbeat. I love him. I love him here.
I know. And then you got a lot of guys, instant friendships. Freaking David Ross, Mike Napoli, Will Millbrook, Johnny Gomes. Those guys have been hanging out together a lot. They've been cracking jokes. I love their personality out there.
From what I've seen and from what I've gathered and heard about, I think Victorino and Petey got a little bromance going on. Which I love. I love Shane Victorino, and we all know how I feel about Laser Show.
Yeah. I
love him. He's awesome. I love Petey. Reigning Gold Glove. Reigning MVP. Anyway. NL West. What do you say?
The Giants, people love the Giants.
And I know you don't. I know you.
For some reason,
I know you just hate the Giants.
I have no idea why. In my brain, I can't like the Giants. I don't know why. There's something in my brain that prevents me from liking them, even though they are one of the best teams in the entire MLB. They won 2 out of the last 3 World Series. I think the Dodgers will take the NL West this year, though.
Is it just because they're the Red Sox dumping ground?
No, have you seen their
roster? No, they got a great roster going
Former
into this
Cy
year.
Young Clayton Kershaw, who's only 24, I think, by the way. Anyhow, that's a Cy Young. You have a pretty strong rotation out there, and then just look at their position players. Carl Crawford, when he's well and not playing in Boston, is going to be great.
I don't get it.
Matt Kemp, he could potentially be an MVP. Andre Ethier, pretty damn good. And then you look at their infield. Hanley Ramirez. Luis Cruz, I think his name is. I don't know, he's a lower name guy. And then Adrian Gonzalez. I know how much you hate Adrian Gonzalez, but he's a great player.
I don't hate him because he was drinking beer and eating chicken in the clubhouse, because he wasn't. I guess I hate him because he just absolutely dogged it towards the end of the season in Boston. You might as well just walk down the first baseline.
Yeah, there's definitely,
I mean...
Every time I watch a baseball game, I notice guys where, they would have been safe, I feel like, if they actually tried to run to first base.
Now, if anybody here tries to make the argument that David Ortiz does the same thing, don't, because he's a designated hitter and he's a big boy. Gonzo's a first baseman. Uke is a first baseman, and he's kind of quick. And Gonzo runs like a newborn horse with broken legs. Am I wrong, though? Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
He absolutely dogs it. He's one of the slowest players I've ever seen.
Even Prince Fielder runs. As big as he is and as slow as he runs, he runs.
Didn't he hit an inside the park home run last year?
I can't remember.
Or the year before?
That would have to be some really bad defense for that to happen.
NL ballparks are huge, though. And weight carries. No, Prince, we love you. Next topic. The Heat's winning streak.
Wait, we didn't get to the Central teams yet.
No, we didn't. You're right. Thank you for stopping me.
AL Central. I think it's gonna be a repeat with the Tigers.
No doubt.
It was a close battle between them and the White Sox last year. I do like the White Sox this year too, with Jake Peavy, Paul Konerko, Adam Dunn. But I think the Tigers got even better this off season, and they made it to the World Series last year.
And knowing that they have the Triple Crown winner, just that much more.
I know I said earlier that the Nationals have the best starting rotation, but the Tigers could easily take that. It's a toss-up for me between them and the Nationals. You got Verlander, who is arguably the best pitcher in the entire MLB.
I think he's the best.
Then you have Doug Fister, great ground ball pitcher. Although, I kind of question the fact that he's in Detroit when they have one of the worst infield defenses in the entire MLB. But then you have Scherzer, Anibal Sanchez. You just can't argue with that pitching rotation.
There is no hitting that rotation. One does not simply.
And then look at their infield. You have Miguel Cabrera, Triple Crown winner, reigning MVP. Prince Fielder, one of the best first basemen in the entire MLB. Johnny Peralta, he used to be really good, but now he's kind of good. You have Victor Martinez.
Is age a factor with him?
Yeah, he's pretty old.
Yeah, so.
You have Victor Martinez, great catcher, even better DH. Alex Avila, pretty good catcher. Torrey Hunter out in right field. Austin Jackson. They have just a complete roster. Their only question right now is closer. If they can get Bruce Rondon to actually develop to be the closer that he can be, then they will make it to the World Series again.
I think with close, it's all about command.
It is, and he has not shown command this spring.
And we've seen it numerous times, and I really do hate to continue to reference Boston, but I feel like we just have flurries of bad luck when it comes to certain players at certain positions and deals that we make and getting burned when it comes to finances with Boston sports. We saw it so much in Jonathan Papelbon. He had a great contract year a couple of seasons ago. But there were times when he would, oh my God.
Yeah, he had some pretty rough moments.
Last season, when we were on that absolute tear mid-season, and we were in Colorado, he gave up 2 home runs. I remember the game.
Wait, last season?
It was either last, no,
We
2
didn't-
seasons ago.
Yeah.
2 seasons ago. We were in Colorado, and Ubaldo Jimenez had pitched that game, and there would have been so much hype because he had a ridiculous amount of wins at that point in the season. He's a young kid, and he was amazing. His numbers have absolutely tailed off since then.
Yeah, he's the most disappointing player in the entire MLB for me.
No doubt, though. He's young, and he's at the point where he can have a resurgence, so to speak. But we absolutely made him look horrible. But the Brewers lineup, no, not the Brewers, the Rockies lineup was keeping them in that game with everything that they had. Pap comes in to close it, gives up a home run.
You can't blame him, though. That's the most home run friendly park in the entire MLB.
Yankee Stadium.
Nah, I'd say the Rockies. If they had a better team playing there, they would have the most home runs.
And then up comes Jason Giambi. No command. Giambi. Oh, Pap. Jesus Christ. Papelbom. Papelbum. I think we saw a worse closer in Eric Gagne now.
Yeah. Well, at the end of his career.
Yeah.
He was one of the best closers ever until the end of his career.
Yeah.
84 consecutive saves. Can't beat that. That's one of those untouchable records. There's just some records that nobody will ever beat for years. There's Joe DiMaggio's
56 game hit streak.
56 game hit streak.
Nobody's gonna beat that.
There's Cal Ripken's 2,000 something consecutive games played.
1,000. I think it was either 2361 or something absolutely stellar like that.
And then you got Eric Gagne's 84 consecutive saves. Nobody is gonna beat those.
That's freaky.
But anyway, back to our original topic.
Yeah.
Kind of tailed off.
We do that often here at Hawkeye, but we pride ourselves in being able to entertain you, the viewers, the few, but more than we wish we had. But to those of you that do follow us, thank you. We appreciate it very much.
NL Central. I have the Reds winning it. It's a toss-up between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Reds.
I have the Reds winning it. I got the Reds taking it. They've improved significantly in the last 5 seasons, and they've shown me that they're really hungry to win. They're a team they're out to win, and they don't want to let anything get in their way.
I mean, just look at their team.
They play with so much intensity and so much passion, game in and game out. They show it on and off the field. Whether it be an interview, the first pitch or the last pitch of the game at the bottom of the ninth with the bases loaded in a full count.
It was kind of sad to see them kind of blow their 2-0 lead in the division series against the Giants. But if you're gonna lose to anybody, at least lose to the person that wins the team.
Yeah.
I mean, wins the entire tournament. But anyway, just look at their lineup. Look at their team. You have the best first baseman, arguably, in the entire MLB, in Joey Votto.
A crushing Russian.
He's Canadian.
Who's the crushing Russian, then?
I have no idea.
Someone was referenced as the crushing Russian. I can picture a Russian woman though saying Joey Votto. It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cincinnati.
One of the best second basemen in Brandon Phillips. In my opinion, he was robbed of the Gold Glove last year. Although, if he was going to get robbed by anybody, I'm glad it went to Darwin Barney. He tied the record for most consecutive games without an error. Honestly, I think Brandon Phillips should have gotten it, though, because he is the flashiest player in baseball. He makes some of the most ridiculous plays and makes it look easy.
So does Jose Reyes, though.
Yeah.
Even though he's a shortstop.
He's a shortstop, but,
I love him.
If you actually look at his stats, though, like the sabermetrics, which, aren't always accurate, but they're something to be looked at, he's actually not that good of a defender. He just makes flashy plays.
Which is why I argue flashiest player in the MLB.
But anyway, then they got Sin-Chu 2. I cannot pronounce his name for some reason, even though it's easy.
Say that 5 times fast.
Shin-Su 2 from the Indians.
Choo-choo train?
Who I don't exactly agree with putting him in center, but who else are you going to put in center? Jay Bruce, Todd Frazier. Just a deadly lineup. And then Johnny Cueto, one of the best starters. He got injured in the playoffs last season, but
I'd love to have him on my team.
Who wouldn't? He'd be an upgrade for any team. But and then you got the Cardinals, though. While Chris Carpenter is gone, they will still be contenders.
They'll definitely contend.
They're taking wild card with the Braves again. I see that being the same.
I say Braves second. For me, out west, best teams, regardless of division. San Francisco at number 1. Cincinnati at number 2. Not out west, National League, pardon me. San Francisco number 1. Reds number 2. Atlanta number 3. And St. Louis number 4.
What about the Nats?
Yes. Move St. Louis down 1. Move everybody from 2 on down 1, and put the Nats at number 2. Next on the list.
That one took longer than I thought.
I don't know if we'd already referenced this or not, but the Heat's winning streak has come to an end at 27 finally. I called that. I told my grandfather 2 days ago. I said, when's the Heat's next game? Who are they playing? He says they're playing the Bulls. He says they're going to lose.
If there was anybody that you don't want to face when you're on a streak, it's the Bulls, I think.
They're a team in need of aid at some spots, but if you're going to lose to the Bulls. Lose to a team that doesn't have a Michael Jordan year in and year out, but have guys that will absolutely stun you up and down the court. Next, the Patriots have re-signed Sebastian Vollmer. Worth how much and how long, we're not sure of at this time. We will keep you posted on that. Elmas Dumerville has signed with the Baltimore Ravens. And I think what they're going for right now is our defense is depleted considerably. With Ray Lewis retiring, Ed Reed signing with the Texans, boost up your offensive line and beef up Joe Flacco's weapons. Because the defense is completely declined. Not to the point where it's not a threat.
It's definitely something to be reckoned with, but not as much.
I mean, you still have Bernard Pollard, who is frequently causing New England injuries. Hey, it's one less, though, because John Elway took Wes Walker. And last but not least, Mike Ribeiro, great Caps player, has turned down the Caps contract offer. Again, unfortunately, we apologize. This is a contract that we don't know what the offer was. We don't know how much it was worth and how long the contract was scheduled to be.
That's good. I'm sorry.
If he did get signed. However, the Caps need Mike Ribeiro. They're a team in need this season. They were off to an awfully rocky start. They were a team that was up in the air. Their goaltending was an issue until Michael Neuvirth turned on his game. And Braden Holtby has come around now. He's playing like he did in the playoffs last season. Anything else?
Not that I can think of.
All right, well, that's all for this week. If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for us. Happy Easter. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you next week.